Hello, I'm Jack. I'm a game production major here at Clark University.
I'm Caleb, and I am a computer science major who likes to make games here at Clark University.
So this is our one of our episodes for class. So Caleb, you're working on a game right now, right?
So I'm making an adventure game about being stuck in a simulation where you have to rescue people from the simulation. The simulation was created to test bots for the military, and these AI these bots were they experienced a singularity of intelligence. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. It's a weird
I want to say like alien kind of stuff, but singularity is what singularity?
It's like a exponential growth of intelligence to AI. It's like a theoretical thing.
Yeah.
So they experienced that, and then they started getting really intelligent and started realizing that they didn't want to kill people. Or so we think.
Yeah.
So they're trying to convince you. Let's see. Here I'm going on our episode, or our second version, where I should really be sticking to the first version's plot. Or they're like totally different. So the first version's plot is that you're going into the simulation to rescue these people from the AI, and they want to kill you. You have to rescue them because they can't exit the simulation until you lead them to a portal.
So is it like a action adventure, or is it like a third person shooter, or like what would you classify?
Oh yeah, I guess it's action adventure, not. Did I say adventure earlier?
Yeah, you said it was adventure. So it's like
Okay.
So is it like I want to say Uncharted, but like, is it like third person? Is it turn based? Like what kind of genre would you? So like it's action adventure. Is it like what's the point of view, I guess?
Yeah, so it's first person. You have two abilities. One of them is to place stasis generators, which like prevent enemies from moving through for like 20 seconds. And then another one is you can reverse time. And the reversing time feature is interesting because you can redo certain parts if you mess up. But we realized after like a bunch of people played, that's like it's not very applicable to the game strategy. Like no one ended up using it, even though it's a cool feature.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're trying to work on.
So are you using Unity?
Yep.
So you're using Unity, and what kind of pipeline are you using?
Yeah, so we're using Unity with C#, of course.
Yeah.
And we're using Plastic SCM.
Okay.
And that has worked pretty well because we have an artist and me and the team. It's two of us. So
it's just you and an artist?
It's just me and an 3D modeler.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do the audio and programming, and he does 3D modeling, and we both do marketing and production. But
okay.
Even though we're both noobs at production.
Yeah. No, that's the crazy thing, because I never made games before college.
Oh yeah.
So like, it's weird because like going into college, I knew I just wanted to be into gaming, but like, so like so you and an artist, so basically a programmer / designer and an artist are just making this game for. How long have you been working on it?
We've been working on this since last summer. Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
So we released it.
Was it during the pandemic?
Oh, sorry, not last summer. It would have been 4 months.
Oh, so 4 months now. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a huge game. It's a really small scope game, but we wanted to get like a version 1 out there, and then we can get some feedback on that, and we did, and now we're gonna start like rewriting stuff.
Are you gonna try to publish it? Is the ultimate goal like to publish it like your Steam?
That'd be amazing, but I don't know. Like, you know how hard it is to do that?
So there's it's called like Steam Workshop. I think it's like part of it. I can't remember what it is. Becker used to do it, but you can. there's a way you can. It's not hard to publish a game on Steam.
Oh, cool.
Like they're like literally, and that's like the beauty of Steam. Literally from AAA publishers, indie developers. So like anyone can upload, kind of like on the App Store. How like if you want to make an app, you just basically got to go through like, for example, like with Apple, you just go through like Apple, the App Store itself, like iTunes, and basically approve it, and then basically you know. Signed a bunch of agreements and then it's on there. It's kind of like the same thing with Steam, but Steam's a little bit more open-ended. And I know a lot of games from Becker that I've heard of. I haven't played them, but I know Becker's published some games through Steam. And then, like at my old college, almost all the Capstone games went through.
That's solid.
So yeah, so like, it's made for people like just two people to go through, so it's not that hard. It's on, if you go on Steam I think it's through Steam Workshop. That's what it used to be called. But you can go through there, and then like you can upload your game.
That's really cool. And then it's just like like most games get through.
Yeah, but
tell me about your projects.
So yeah, that's the crazy thing between me is because like I said, you're like just because you're not a game major.
I'm not a game major. Because I wanted to keep it general because I like making apps too.
Right.
So it's like I don't want to just focus on that and then graduate and be like, oh, I can't make anything else.
Yeah.
But I love games too. Like
that's a crazy thing because like for me at least like making a game on my own, like I'm not creative enough to do it on my own. Like that's why like I like production because it's like it's a lot of management and there's a little bit of like everything. So like I've been a game production major in general for 5 years of college. I want to graduate, but yeah, but before college, I had no clue what I wanted to do.
Oh,
so
okay,
but all I knew is I wanted to play games. Well, not play games. Sorry, I wanted to make games in some way, shape, or form, whatever that may be. Like I didn't know if I wanted to be a programmer. I didn't know if I wanted to be an artist. I didn't know if I wanted to be a designer. Like And so what I figured, because I like working with people and like projects and stuff, so I knew kind of that's along my skill set. So when I went to Champlain, they put me in the production part, which is funny because I wanted to be a programmer.
Really?
Yeah, but then when I actually tried programming, I'm like, this don't work. So I can read it, but I can't write it, if that makes sense. Because I know what stuff means, but like for me to just kind of spit it out and kind of try to make stuff work, and the trial and error that goes through that, for me, I'm too impatient in that regard.
It's really hard.
Yeah, but so it was, when I got in, do you know what they did? They made us make a board game right out the get-go, first week of school. Like, you know the day, like, when you were a freshman and you had, like, all your orientation classes and stuff?
Yeah.
So, literally, that day, they put us on a game project.
Oh, my word. That's
actually... they threw us in the deep end. It was bad. Because, like, we had no idea, like, we had to, like, literally just scramble to make a game. It basically made, like, a Candyland, like, variant, I think it was.
How long do you have to make it?
3 weeks.
Oh, my word.
So that week, the first week of school, second and third week. And it was bad.
So that would test your game design skills. Because it's a board game, right?
It would test, like, a little bit of design, but in general, just, like, what it means to kind of be a developer and like what it means to like kind of work together, especially in crunch, like basically just time crunch, and like it's basically all the worst things you can have happen in the first week, and that's what that was, I guess, was the point of it. And so in general, I hated it. At Champlain in particular, even though I love games, they were just their program was basically, and little did I know, it was a ripoff of Becker's basically, because Becker was around before them.
Oh.
So like, and in general, like there, I just hated it, and so I wanted to transfer to Becker. So when I transferred to Becker, it was like actual how I thought games were going to be made, which is in a studio setting. Like, my professor at Champlain literally had rock and roll videos at the beginning of class and would talk about, like, Jimi Hendrix or some random funk band nobody's ever heard of, and then, like, kick us out, basically. It was horrible. Like, we learned nothing.
That's terrible.
But at Becker, it's like we had, like, a studio and everything like that. And then, obviously, COVID hit, but we were all virtual. And actually ended up not working that bad, like, because working virtual, like, in that extent, like, because we were virtual, we had to show that we were doing work because, we're not in person. So in that regard, everybody did well. And now, obviously, we're here at Clark because they bought us. But it's crazy because what I've learned to do in gaming compared to you is they teach us how to do everything in like sprints and in agile.
Yes.
So like in thin vertical slices. Whereas when you're doing your own development, you're not even thinking that. You're like, or maybe you are. I don't know. But
we're trying to. It's hard. It's hard to like split things up because you tend to be like, oh, let's just create this big thing. But it's hard to slice it up vertically, like you said. But I think that's really important. Like that's what we're trying to do with ProtoSim. Because like we created like a few beta versions before releasing it, and this is kind of this is a slice right here. Our version that we released. It's a polished slice, but it is a slice in the big picture that we plan to use to, we plan to use the feedback to pivot and stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's a thing that's like really challenging in general for gaming, and that's like why, like on top of that, and like the big AAA studios, the problem with them is we're all taught this agile frame, which is a good thing to do because working and focusing on what needs to be done now is better than worrying about 10 things down the line that aren't a priority. But the problem with big studios, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but like for me, what I've noticed is studios will put out this set date that the games are going to be out, but obviously games like Cyberpunk, they focus their energy. With CD Projekt Red, they focus their energy on one part of the build, and then next thing you know, even though people were saying bring it out, the game was riddled with bugs, and so at launch it was just insane, and they refunded the game basically if you bought it on like 360. Which is and it's weird because with Rockstar for the longest time they've had that, or at least from an outside perspective, they've had that agile kind of methodology of it'll get finished when it's finished. And then you get games like Red Dead Redemption 2, and Grand Theft Auto 5. Not recently, it's been a fiasco with Grand Theft Auto, but GTA 4, like all those games, those three games to me are like the pinnacle of they're dense games, but were released when they needed to be released.
I totally agree that I think you're saying that games should be released when they're released, no matter what the deadline is. There should be no
hard deadline.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because random bugs can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Version control and managing it is a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's Halo pushed back. I actually think this is smart on Bungie's part, even though people may not like it. But they released the multiplayer and this week the campaign for Halo Infinite, but they pushed back Forge and the co-op campaign, and a lot of people don't like that. But I would argue that if they believe that the multiplayer is, which it is, a polished build, as far as gameplay goes, progression's another thing. But as far as polished gameplay goes, from a single player standpoint, multiplayer standpoint, I don't mind, because the multiplayer is free. And if you have Game Pass, the single player is free.
Right, yeah, and a similar thing happened with Minecraft.
Yeah,
they postponed like some features they postponed it from 1.16 to 1.17, and to 1.17 to 1.18, and then so on and so forth, 1.17 to 1.18, and now I think it's a good thing because like people won't be happy with that, but they will be more happy than if they tried to like get it done just half done.
Because that's what happened. What happened with Cyberpunk was people were like, bring it out now, and what happened was the game came out and it was just bugged.
Yeah.
It was broken. Like there's same thing with like it's, I don't want to say with GTA Definitive Edition, but like that's a whole separate issue. But releasing it. I'm trying to think of what other games. The Witcher 3 on launch, well, another game by CD Projekt Red had a lot of bugs. Not as much as Cyberpunk, but a lot. Battlefield 3, a lot of these big games, they have these real bugs. Now the good thing nowadays is compared to years ago, was you could push these patches and fix the game.
Yeah.
Compared to years ago, where if you got a game on PS2 or PlayStation 1 or NES or whatever, when that game comes out, that's out. That's it.
That's scary. I'm glad we live in an age where we can push up.
Like that's the crazy thing. Like imagine like have you played like Lego Star Wars?
Yeah.
Imagine if that game came out and it was broken. And like you know what I mean, like, but like so like they had one like that's the thing back then they had one shot when they released the game, and they and it's one of those things where they had to polish probably the hell out of that. That game, even though it's by today's standards a small game, it was very polished, and it obviously is like the most successful Star Wars game like ever.
Yeah,
I'm technically speaking, it's the complete saga which has sold the most, but like it all started with the first one.
Yeah, exactly, and that leads back to the agile thing. It's like you can't like back then it was all about the waterfall methodology.
Yeah.
And now it's just you don't need to be held down by those
those standards.
Yeah.
The waterfall methodology is weird because to clarify for agile and waterfall, agile is you split it up into vertical slices and sprints, and you repeat that cycle basically until you have a potentials or an MVP, so a minimal viable product. And then, obviously, you eventually get your main product over time, whereas waterfall is you basically start the project, and then you have an end goal, and you just ride down that hill until you finish it, which in most settings is stressful, and most of the time, waterfall, and in some cases, or actually in a lot of cases with Agile, there is that crunch period. Now, it's interesting, and I want to ask you about this, because, like, crunch, and from what I've heard from like my other professors in the gaming industry right now, I don't know about big studios, but it is going in that direction to big studios where crunch is such a big thing that they're trying to avoid it in the sense in a good way, meaning they're not trying to force developers to work 60 hours in a week to get a game done and no additional pay.
Yeah.
Like the Red Dead Redemption 2, I remember Rockstar got backlash because the developers had a lot of crunch. But if you know in the gaming industry or software industry period, crunch happens like all the time. Not to say that it's a good thing, and it just happens. But it's great. But from what I'm saying is I've heard that recently it's kind of shifting. That there's more of a work-life balance kind of, especially with COVID.
Yeah, I think especially nowadays, nowadays meaning like this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's, they want to make their employees happy because otherwise
they're not going to work.
They're not going to
and
work.
It's going to be crowd. Yeah.
Because the industry as a whole is changing for that, for the good in that regard, the way I see it.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What goes into producing a game?
In general, or
just in
like
general? I haven't studied. I've never known what goes into producing a game in the production sense.
So, for are you asking? Because producing a game and like being a producer are two different questions. Producing
being
a game.
Producer.
Okay.
Being a producer. Because not everything.
Because producing a game is the whole team.
Right. Yeah.
But being a producer, it's a bunch of things. So I like the simplest way I can put it is I have my hands in every pot. So design, programming, art. And I like what I like to do personally is, and I work kind of better in in-person studio. I can do it virtually, but I don't feel it's as intimate. But I like going into each of the groups and basically we divide up work tasks and basically say, all right, who's going to take this piece? Who's going to take this piece? How long is this going to take? And from there, when everybody gets their assigned tasks, we just basically monitor everybody. I don't want to say, when I say monitor, I don't mean like, what's the phrase? Like micromanaging, because that's the, we're just monitoring, what do you call it? Like just work breakdown. Burn down.
Burn down.
Yeah. So that's the one thing we're constantly monitoring, and obviously, most importantly, how efficient are we? So for this past studio for this semester, we had, because we were in person, it was interesting. Our programming and our and mainly our art teams, their efficiency was way higher than it was during COVID. But on the flip side, which I thought was interesting, was design. It was the opposite. They actually didn't work as efficient. Part of that is obviously because of, human error. Like, some people just didn't want to do work, but it was interesting to me because how when we were online, everybody was equally efficient. And so that, efficiency is, one of the main things that we look at. On top of that, we use a lot of software, so like Jira. We for our studio use Hack and Play because we can have this.
Oh, I love Hack and Play.
Hack and Play is awesome, dude. Like, so like my board, so like, and obviously in Agile you need like the Scrum board, and so like for mine it's Master Chief is my board as like the background. Okay. And so then I have like all the tasks on there.
Yeah.
And then basically a lot of the on top of that they didn't really teach it here at Becker, which I thought was interesting. But one of the things I took from Champlain, which I think is good in a producer setting, is in the real industry, I know this is a huge part of it, is the business aspect. So I think and I'm just speculating because we did a lot of this, like I said, in my old school, but we focus on how's this game going to sell, how it should be marketed, what platform, a lot of the kind of executive decisions that maybe a programmer or designer may not understand, I guess. No, I don't want to say understand, but like not necessarily
responsible.
No, right.
Yeah.
Because in the studio, obviously, and this is why my dad said that production would be good for me. At programming, you can only go so high, and compared to like a designer or a producer, and the same thing with art
in terms of control.
So like you get in each department, there's like the executive art director, which I know for artists is like the dream because you get to control like how the game feels. Like you have that kind of overseer, and then like a game designer could be. I mean, there's a lot of avenues of game design that you could go down. Like you could be the director of gameplay mechanics. You could be the director of game, level design. Like there's so much, and then obviously there's the creative director and executive producer and everything like that. And so like, for me, what I would love to be, if I were in a professional studio setting, I would not only like to be a part of a team, but I would like to obviously eventually go into that, like kind of businessy and kind of, or on the flip side, be like a creative director. I think that'd be sick.
That would be sick.
Like a Todd Howard. If I could be on stage and be like, it just works, I jokingly say all the time when have you seen like the Xbox since like Sony press conferences?
I have not.
Do you know who Phil Spencer is? He's like the head of Xbox.
No, but go ahead.
I took a picture of him on my Snap and I'm like, I'm taking your job. But
he can't stop it.
Yeah, as I say, like, because here's the thing, because how old are you again?
I am. Let's see, how old am I? 20. How about you?
No, so you're 20?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 22. So, like, you and I are born, like, in the same kind, so 99 to, 2001?
I'm 2000.
2000. So, we were born at a perfect time because we were born when technology was literally arcing.
Mm-hmm.
So, we literally saw cartridges and discs when they were huge. Like I said, PlayStation 2, Game Boy, DS, PSP, 360, all the way to now, which is the Series X and the PS5. And obviously PC. And back then in PC gaming, for people who don't know, I had Star Wars Battlefront back when I was little, and the original Call of Duty's like the original ones. It's like my first Call of Duty was Call of Duty 1. But to install it, you had 5 discs. So you would literally take out, like, you put in all these discs to install one game.
That's insane. And now look where we've come.
And now it's all digital.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But like back, and then like, I mean, people talk about floppy disks and obviously which only hold megabytes.
We're gonna age ourselves here.
No, yeah. But my point is we were born at that great time where we literally saw it instantly, not only gaming, but in technology in general. We literally saw games, saved in megabytes. Like a PlayStation hard drive was, or SD or memory card or whatever, was 16 megabytes. That was enough. Like nowadays, you need a terabyte. Because all files and images are so high res, you need that storage. But like on top of that, we saw literally flip phones. Like the Razr, remember the Razr flip phone? That thing was sick. Then the BlackBerry, and then instantly as the BlackBerry was hot, iPhones, like it's crazy. And then obviously in gaming, obviously you got, obviously the consoles obviously get better and better, but obviously they've moved towards digital, and then VR all of a sudden takes off.
What do you think about VR? I think that's the future. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a future to an extent, and I think that the cost of the headsets should go down. I mean, obviously that over time that's what happens. Like the iPhone initially was so crazy expensive compared to other phones. The good thing I do think is Oculus has a great job of their headsets. Probably the price of like a Xbox One X or like a PS5 or PS4. It's like $399 if you get the 256. But I think
reasonable.
And like that's reason like the problem with and that's the whole thing with VR is accessibility. Even though the numbers of VR games and users have increased, it's still far from being on like the same kind of level, in accessibility as like an Xbox. Like remember when the Wii came out and how everybody had the Wii, at the around 360 and PS3 are around, but not everybody had 360 PS3, and obviously when you get older, obviously everybody gets it, whatever. But like
the accessibility of it.
The accessibility, it's very still. I don't want to say it's in its infancy because I think it's just out of its infancy, but it's still a little bit of ways for people for more accessibility to it.
I think it's also an adoption thing. Like it's not that expensive in the grand, like an Oculus, like you said. I mean, at least Oculus, but
right, because HTC, the Vive, for example, goes for $800 to $1,000.
Yeah.
The Steam Deck, and that's the thing; those are the best ones, and those ones too. You also need a PC. But the good thing about an Oculus is, you don't need a PC.
But I think it's also about the adoption of it is like, as it becomes more popular, more people will want it.
Yeah.
And it's very cool, but I don't think a lot of people have it, so it's like...
Yeah. Because, like, my buddy of mine works at Walmart, and he brings it in and has people play with it, like, on break.
Oh, cool.
And and all these people are, like, amazed about it, but they don't realize, or know necessarily, how to get it, or how to get games on it, and so, like, it's all accessibility, and not only that, but if you're not familiar, I would argue, too, for the average consumer... if you're not familiar with VR, you're probably going to be kind of lost too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's very foreign.
Right.
It's a lot of stuff to learn.
Yeah, for me, I have my own Oculus, and I'm used to being in a VR space. But before I even bought it, I've seen on YouTube everybody using a VR headset and what it looks like on the inside. But if you've never seen it, it's very, very weird, and it's very foreign. But I would hope that it gets to that point of like, and there's controllers now where you can actually like touch stuff. And I heard the new Steam Deck has that. Like the controllers are like they're really sensitive to like pressure, so you can like actually grab stuff. From what I've heard, like which is cool.
Yeah. Also, like even just moving your arms like the Wii. But like the VR setting is very cool.
But in the VR setting, that controller literally turns into a lightsaber, which is awesome.
That's like, man, I still can't stop geeking out about that. It's so
cool.
But what games do you have on your VR?
What do I? The Walking Dead one's awesome. I get really motion sickness from it.
I bet, yeah.
But like that one's awesome because it has like when you use an axe, for example. And you try to hit it in the zombie's head. Like, the only way to kill the zombies is you have to fracture their skull. And there's actual haptic feedback, so when you actually, like, stab them, like, you feel it actually puncture them. And it's weird to you have to get used to it. Even for some, like I said, for someone who's actually experienced it, it's weird to actually getting your controller and trying to jam it into something that's not there.
Yeah.
You know, which is cool. That's like one of the most, to me, was it The Walking Dead, and there's one more game. Like a lot of the Counter-Strike Pavlov. That one's cool too, because that's like actual Counter-Strike but in VR, which is awesome. I think once the you can move around and stuff a little bit more accurately, I think it's gonna be really cool. Like if I could lay down without the headset getting screwed up, like if I'm playing a first-person shooter and I can actually prone in real life and my guy in the game prone, like I think that'd be cool.
That'd be
because you can crouch in a lot of those games. But if you actually try to lay down, it doesn't work.
Oh, it messes up the headset.
Yeah, like it thinks that you're crouching. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But I remember when we were at Champlain, there were some people who were making VR games, and those are tough.
I bet.
Because it's literally another dimension of coding.
And Becker offers a course for that, right?
I think so. Like you have it's not really. Well, yeah. So they have they have a specific course for VR gaming, but the amount of people I think that do the VR gaming, one are crazy, but they want to try it, and there's nothing, and I think that's nothing wrong with that. I think it's ballsy, and I think it's cool, but it's tough because I've seen people who try to do it, and like I said, it's such a huge learning curve. But on the flip side, though, like it's awesome that we have it. Because now it's part of Clark, and so I think because I think they had a VR space. I could be wrong at Becker, and I think I wouldn't be surprised at the new lot that they bought down the street when they build that. That's going to be like the new gaming area. I would not be surprised if they have a VR creative space.
That'd be very cool.
But thanks for listening. I've been Jack, and
this is Caleb. And we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us, and I hope we provided some value.
Please give me an A.